570, even though they have the same model number. This one has an 8.5-inch space to the right of the needle, and it also comes with a dual feed mechanism, which are some of the biggest features that it hosts. In addition to those features, I wanted to show you some other ones. For instance, we have a new and improved accessory box, and these are made with magnets on the back so that they can actually magnetize to the back of your machine securely for transport. So let me just flip that around so you can see. It's magnetized right in place. Of course, you'll want to take that off before you slide your tray on. So I want to show you some of the sewing features that it has. Alright, so now that we have our tray on, I wanted to show you one of the nice new features of this machine is that it shows you the thread path for either threading the needle or winding a bobbin. So bobbin winding is done in dotted lines, threading the needle is done in solid lines, and they are numbered as to what order. 3 is down here, back up to 4, and 5 down through the needle. Another cool feature is that when I go to use my automatic needle threader, it lowers the foot for me. And I'll show you that in a minute here when I can set my phone in my stand. Here's our interactive touchscreen, our needle position, and our multifunction knobs. And then on the side here you'll see you have a magnetic spot for where your stylus can rest. This is where you raise and lower your feed dogs. This is to import designs from your computer. And this port here is to import designs with a USB stick or to update your machine. Okay, first a quick trip around the screen. You can see here it shows you the tension for the stitch that we've selected, and this will change based on which stitch I select. So this machine is programmed to automatically adjust your tension, and you'll notice that that changed. And also it will tell you which foot it's suggesting right here on the second tile on the left. So you can go in there and change that, or you can confirm that you are using the foot that it's recommending. You can also manually override this tension if you're finding your thread that you're using is not behaving the way you would like it to at that tension. This third tile down is your presser foot pressure, and the fourth one down is where you would tell your machine whether you have a 0mm stitch plate or a 9mm stitch plate. This helps your machine keep you from dinging up your feet or your stitch plate by letting you only sew in the possible channels for your needle path. And likewise, you can tell it when you have a double needle in. And I want to show you how interactive this screen is. So when I have a double needle in, it's going to show me 2 lines of stitching. The reason why it's red now is because I've selected that I had the 5 foot on. So if we go ahead and we'll just look up a 1C, which is a nice open foot, it will be much happier about us having our double needle in. So now it's allowing us to sew. This 5th tile down indicates whether your feed dogs are up or down. That is controlled by that button on the side, on the right side. And this lower indicator is your bobbin. So when your bobbin gets low, it'll start showing you that it's 15%, and then it will begin flashing at you when you approach 8% or less. Over here on the right, these are thought of more as file folders. So right now we're in our utility stitch folder, and this can be scrolled down to see more stitches. These are mostly used for mending or practical stitch applications. This is definitely where you'll find your straight stitch and your zigzag. I'm going to go ahead and take that back into a single needle so we don't get any confusion here. And we'll move over into our decorative stitch menu. So you'll see that file folder has changed now to the 2nd tab down. And these are all folders within our decorative stitches. So some of the fun ones on the 5 series, look, we have some cute little candy canes and Christmas trees. We even have reindeer here we could sew out. Maybe let's take a look and see what those look like. One of the nice features that some Bernina machines have, including this one, is this 9mm stitch plate. So you will see how beautiful these stitches can be when they are stitched out at that width. You can really get some definition, and you saw how the foot comes down to let me thread quickly and easily. I also don't have to put the presser foot down. All I have to do is step on the pedal, and it's gonna go ahead and lower the presser foot for me and start stitching out some reindeer. I also have a pattern end button that I can use to ensure that it stops after it completes one reindeer, not in the middle. So I've go ahead and selected that. Automatically cuts for me and raises the presser foot. So there's my little reindeer I just sewed out. Looks like I had a tail that I should have probably snipped off first. Okay, so let's go back over to our screen here. Okay, so there's some fun Christmas ones, it looks like, and some pumpkins and Easter bunnies. That's just one folder. Of course, we have taper stitches here. Oops, jumping ahead of myself with an alphabet. This looks like it would be like kids stuff. So hedgehog, stroller, rocket ship, trucks, all kinds of fun stuff there. So you can get how you could play around in there quite a bit. Then you can go down to your alphabets folder. Now we've selected a new folder on the right, and we have all these fun alphabets to play with. So I can even write my name by going into combination mode, which is this plus sign, and then I will just start selecting the letters of my name. This is in alphabetical order. And I can scroll through to see what I have by selecting this button to make sure I didn't add any extra letters. And I'm going to go into my functions and tell it to sew my name once. Keep in mind we do give free classes with all of our sewing machines, so don't feel like you have to keep up with me as I'm punching through these screens. Just want to show you some of the fun stuff we can do here. So instead of using my foot pedal this time, I'm just going to hit the green button because I know it's only going to sew it once. So there you have it. Pretty cool, huh? I can put labels on my quilts or my name on my projects. Lots of fun options here. You can see here there's also an option to do upper and lower case, which I didn't do in this instance. And the next file folder down is buttonholes. You can see there's a lot of variety of buttonholes. Buttonholes are super easy on Berninas. There's no reason to be afraid. If you've ever struggled with it in the past, it's pretty much a push of a button and you can have beautiful buttonholes. They also have a button sew on foot and sew on stitch, so you don't have to worry about that side of it either. And then the next one down is quilting stitches. So these are stitches like the blanket stitch and the ladder stitch and the feather stitch, things like that that are used a lot in applique. And then lastly, you have your little favorites folder down here. This is where you would save something that you created or altered. So I could save my name here to make labels on my projects. And to save, you put it in the folder. If you want to retrieve something that you've already saved, you'll pull it out of the folder. That's kind of how that works. Alright, so now I'd like to show you the dual feed and hover mechanism. So you'll see that a regular style foot is solid in the back. This is just a C foot, which indicates that it's 9 millimeters. A dual feed foot will have a hole for the upper feed dog system to come into play. And those feet are designated with a D in them. So this is a 1/4 inch dual feed foot, 37D. Put that on there. And then you can see in the back here, as I bring down this feed dog mechanism, and it locks right into place there. Take it away and bring it back so you can really see that. So you'll see with this dual feed mechanism that I won't get any shift from my top fabric as I sew down my seams. You can see it working there in the back. And if I start to get slightly off, I can pause, and you see how the presser foot comes up just slightly. I could readjust. Maybe a seam wasn't laying the right way I wanted it to go under my presser foot. And then go ahead and continue on. That hover also comes in really handy when you're chain piecing, because when that piece is done, I can just go ahead and slip the next piece in. And it feeds nice and smooth. Okay, so I also wanted to show you how interactive this touchscreen is. So when I select my stitches, they show up how they will appear virtually in real life on my screen. So when I use my multifunction knobs to make them wider or longer, I really do get a true to life picture of what that's going to look like before I even have to do a test sew. So that's a really handy feature to speed up the process of selecting which stitch to use and getting it dialed in to the size and the specs that you want. Thanks for joining us. Come and sew with us soon.